Okay, so let's start with the second supervised learning tutorial, and in this we are going to learn the time series analysis. Now a time series is a series of data points indexed or listed or graphed in time order. Most commonly, a time series is a sequence taken at successive equally spaced points in time. Thus it is sequence of discrete time data. So what is time series? Time series data is a collection of quantities that are assembled over even intervals in time and ordered chronologically. This time interval at which data is collected is generally referred to as the time series frequency. For example, the time series graph above plots the visitors per month to Yellow's One National Park with the average monthly temperature. The data ranges between January 2014 to December 2016 and is collected at a monthly frequency. The time series are one of the most common data types encountered in daily life. Financial prices, weather, home energy usage, and even weight are all examples of data that can be collected at regular intervals. Almost everyone encounters time series in their day-to-day working or personal life. The idea is straightforward. Represent a time series as a combination of patterns at different scales such as daily, weekly, seasonally and yearly, along with an overall trend. A typical example is your energy use that might rise in the summer and decrease in the winter, but have an overall decreasing trend as you increase the energy efficiency of your home. An additive model can show us both patterns, trends, and make predictions based on these observations. Now the following image shows an additive model decomposition of a time series into an overall trend, yearly trend, and weekly trend. Time series analysis comprises methods of analyzing time series data in order to extract meaningful statistics and other characteristics of the data. Time series forecasting is the use of a model to predict future values based on previously observed values. Time series are widely used for non-stationary data like economic, weather, stock prices, and retail sales, etc. Let's get started with an example. What is time series? Time series is a set of data points or observations taken at specified times, usually at equal intervals. For example, hourly, daily, weekly, quarterly, yearly, etc. etc. Time series is usually used to predict future occurrences based on previous observed occurrences or values. Predicting what would happen in the stock market tomorrow, volume of goods that would be sold in the coming week, whether or not price of an item would skyrocket in December, number of Uber rides over a period of time, etc. etc. These are the examples which can be easily associated with the time series analysis. There are some of the things which can do with time series analysis. Now, why we need time series? Time series helps us understand past trends so we can forecast and plan for the future. For example, you own a coffee shop. What would likely see how many coffees you sell every day or month, and when you want to see how your shop has performed over the past 6 months, you are likely going to add all the 6 months sales. Now, what if you want to be able to forecast sales for the next 6 months or year? In this kind of a scenario, the only variable known to you is time, either in seconds, minutes, days, months, years, etc. etc. Hence, you need time series analysis to predict the other unknown variables like trends, seasonality, etc. etc. Hence, it is important to note that in time series analysis, the only known variable is time. Now, components of time series, generally including those outside of the financial world. Time series often contain the following features. Trends. This refers to the movement of a series of relatively higher or lower values over a long period of time. For example, when the time series analysis shows a pattern that is upward, we call it an uptrend. And when the pattern is downward, we call it a downtrend. and if there was a no trend at all, then we call it a horizontal or stationary trend. One key thing to note is that trend usually happens for some time and then disappears. Seasonality. Now this is another very important factor. This refers to a repeating pattern within a fixed time period. Although these patterns can also swing upward or downward, however, this is quite different from that of the trend because trend happens for a period of time and then disappears. However, seasonality keeps happening within a fixed time period. For example, when it's Christmas, you discover more candles and chocolates are sold, and this keeps happening every year. Irregularity. This is also called noise. Irregularity happens for a short duration and it's non-depleting. A very good example in the case of COVID-19, which is currently on, during this period, there is a massive demand for a hand sanitizer or masks, which happened erratically, systematically in a way no one could have predicted. Hence, one could not tell how much number of sales could have made or tell the next time there is going to be another outbreak. So, COVID-19 of course is temporary, but definitely during this period we have all seen that the sale of all these kinds of items have increased to a very big level. Now cyclic, this is when a series is repeating upward and downward movement. It usually does not have a fixed pattern. It could happen in 6 months, then 2 years later, then 4 years, then maybe 1 year later. This kind of a pattern are much harder to predict. When not to apply time series. Now time series is not applicable in all situations. That is why one has to be very careful when he is trying to apply the time series. So it is well known that the main variable here is time. Same way, it is important to mention that we cannot apply time series analysis to a data set when the variable values are constant. For example, 5,000 boxes of candles were sold last Christmas and then the Christmas before also. Since both values are the same, we cannot apply time series to predict sales for this year because it is going to be almost similar type of. So the time series will not help in that. Values in the form of functions. There is no point applying time series analysis to a data set when you can calculate values by simply using a formula. Now, there are so many examples where you don't need to apply that. You can with your experience or with your small calculation in your mind or maybe using calculator, you can easily calculate. So it is not required that time series can be applied in every situation. So this completes the time series tutorial, and we will go for the next tutorial and we will complete this. Thank you.